Hey folks, welcome back. This is part 2 of my mini-series of servicing and reconditioning my 1980 Music Man 212-65. I've ordered all new electrolytic capacitors and I ordered a bunch of diodes. I'm going to check and set the bias for my EL34 power tubes. I'm going to install a new grill cloth on the speaker baffle. So stick around and I'll walk you through all that and we'll fire up the amp and test and see how it sounds, see if it sounds any better. Alright, I like to have the letters up, looks cool. Put a couple zip ties in. You don't have to, kind of like it, keeps it neat. And for the next person going in there, might as well date it 08/25/23. All right, it was super easy to lift a board on this one. These caps here have been changed. These next is the phase inverter board. All right, I'm going to take these two heat sinks off here just so I can get at those capacitors in there. It's a little tight. It's just a screwdriver. Phillips head on the bottom will release the hardware and I'll lift that off. All right, so I've recapped the phase inverter board and these heat sinks. I took them off as you saw, and I'm just pointing out that these transistors sit against this heat sink, and I'm putting some thermal paste on the back side of the transistor here. So when it sits on the heat sink, we get nice heat transfer. I just kind of figured this out on my own. Lots of staples, even tension. The lines are pretty darn straight. We're going to put it in the amp and see how it looks on mount to there. Speakers. As mentioned, this is Fender aged blackface grill cloth. All right, I'm not convinced that's the clean sound out of this amp. I've got more work to do. In the meantime, we're going to set the bias here. I got the ground over here on the chassis. I got a little clip wire on each one of those. I'm going to go from one resistor to the other. And here's my bias adjustment here. So they want to see 25 millivolts off each one of those resistors to ground. So I'll flip on my amp here and watch my DC multimeter there. Why don't you climb up, see what we got. Looks like 45 millivolts. Now I'm going to make an adjustment here by twisting that and try and get it down to about 25 or so. Too cold. Pretty close. 27 millivolts. All right, I'm gonna leave it. Try going back to the other way. It's very sensitive. Pretty close, 25.7 millivolts off that resistor there. And I'm gonna move my meter over and check the other one. All right, I've moved my clip to the other resistor now. And I'm a little cooler here at 23. I'll warm it up a little bit. That's because the two tubes aren't exactly matched. A little hot. I'm gonna try and get it close to 25 on this one, and the other one will be a little bit hotter. All right, so while we're here setting the bias, I'm now going to check the voltage in the amp, residual voltage. You can see it's draining here now. I'm gonna flip on the power switch. 750 volts. It's flashing overload too, so maybe it's more than that. And I'm gonna shut it off and let's see if it drains. And it does indeed. So that's a nice feature on this 1980 Music Man amplifier. On this particular circuit, mine is self-draining in the E-caps, the power supply caps, which is a nice feature. Double check yours before you jump in to make sure yours is self-draining. All right, folks, I've serviced this amp as best as I could, and I think I've got everything right now, finally. I've really scratched my head with this one because I don't know solid-state circuitry very well, but I just studied the schematic and put what theory I knew to work and did my best. I still wasn't happy with how the amp sounded. It just was sounding flat. It just wasn't sounding right. And I dug in a little deeper, and I replaced a couple of they're called BJT bipolar transistors. They're in the phase inverter circuit. A couple of these little guys here, there's not much to them, but they're like an on-off switch. PNP, positive, negative, positive is what I understand. And they flick off and on, I don't know, thousands of times per second. And that's how that's working your phase inverter. As soon as I replaced those things, really came to life. The amp got quieter, everything started working like it should. The reverb started working, everything really well. Vibrato sounds nice. It's reverb on 2, on 10. There is a way to get this amp to break up. This thing's got op amps in it. If I move this up to like 7 or so and then use my master, you'll get some breakup. It's a solid state breakup. It's not what I bought this amp for. I'll show you. Let's turn my master on. That's on 4 now. I'm gonna go up to 10. It's yucky. So I'll go back to clean. And show you some OCD drive with it. Drives on 50%. Tons of bass on tap. The noise, I think, is coming from my pickups. There you go. I'm happy with this amp now. Sounds quite good. Good value for what I paid with the case, and once it's been serviced. And I learned a lot too. I really worked my brain to figure this one out, but I think we got it. It's ready for gigs.